Right, how do I make this bigger though? Oh, gosh. Now they can hear me talking.
Views down here. And slide, presenter view maybe. Presenter.
Slide view.
No, presenter view. No.
No.
Slide view.
Okay.
That's okay, isn't it?
For those watching at home.
Yeah, for everyone watching at home, it wasn't going right. Okay, well, we've missed the first slide and we can't get back to it, so here's the second slide. But basically, I want to welcome you to our literacy workshop, and it's just basically to help you understand what we're doing right now, how we're doing it, and where we're trying to get to. Over to you, Barbara.
Okay, so we've actually recorded a video from one of our phonics lessons, and we just basically wanted to show you exactly where we are beginning. So over the last couple of weeks, we've started teaching their sounds, and we teach the pure sounds, and this is before they begin to start reading and blending those sounds together. So here it is.
Okay, girls, can you say good morning to Fred? Good morning. So Fred has got a new sound for us to learn today. Would you like to know what it is? My turn. Well done. I'm going to show you some picture cards, and all of these pictures begin with our new sound. Well done. My turn. Tower.
Tower.
Tree.
Tree.
Train.
Train.
Amazing. Should we do that all together? Ready? Tower. Tree.
Tree.
Fantastic. Can anyone think of anything else that begins with t, t, t? So it's a short sound, isn't it? Camilla. Oh, I'm going for a walk in the town. Fantastic. Email.
Tower.
Pardon?
Tower.
Tell. So yeah, that could be a nonsense word, a made-up alien word. That does begin with a t. Well done, Fabio.
Tie.
Tie. Fabio is wearing a tie. That does begin with a t. Amazing. I'm going to show you what our new sound looks like now. So eyes on the board. Are you ready? So on one side we have got a picture of a tower, because tower begins with t, and on this side we've got a t. Okay, so I'm going to draw a tower. I'm going to go down the tower, across the tower, and my tower is going up like this. Does that look like a tower?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'll put some bricks on it.
The way it falls down always.
That's right. Okay, and there is my sound just behind the tower. Down the tower, across the tower. So when you see this side, you're going to say tower, and when you see this side, you're going to say, are you ready to play our game?
Tower.
Tower. Ready?
Tower.
Listen to me. So instead of adding an up on the end and saying tuh, it's t, t, t. Can you do that? Ready? Tower. Well done. Okay. I am going to hide our new sound into our pack of cards. All of these sounds that we've already learned. When you see our new sound, what have you got to do? Can you remember? You've got to go. Okay, ready? Off we go. Well done. I'm going to hide it back into our cards. Amazing. Right, last time, quick as we can.
Okay, so that is what we do every day pretty much, isn't it, at the moment, until we start including reading into our phonics programme. But yeah, I forgot to mention the phonics scheme that we use is Read, Write, Ink, for those that don't know.
And we follow the same pattern every day, so they know exactly what comes next. So it's really familiar to them every single time we do our phonics lesson and we learn a new sound.
And we do a little bit of writing after that, don't we? We then go to our books and they practice in their books.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again.
Okay, so reading. Our really big thing for us is getting the girls to enjoy reading. We really want them to read for pleasure and actually want to be able to pick up a book and not just read the words, but actually be able to read a story through pictures. Now we find that routine is really key for enjoying reading. We read about 4 times a day, so we have it before, when we have our snack, we have it before we have lunch, we have it before the end of the day, and kind of whenever else we can fit it in. But they know a story's coming and they get really excited to know it's story time and can I choose a story. So putting it into a routine, you know, a nighttime routine or a morning routine would be really great. Reading aloud with a parent, sibling or friend, showing off their skills, you know, so what sound have you learned, you know, can we do this word together, and really just making them excited to learn, or finding stories that they like, you know. I know Emily really likes mermaids and whales, so finding stories that really relate to that, and finding stories that you know they're going to love, that would really, you know, encourage them. And also variety of text, you know, looking at magazines, looking at posters,
menus, signs, on
shopping lists, lots of different things, just to be able to go, oh, actually, you know, because reading opens a whole new world to them, and actually showing them that how amazing reading is and how much it can open their eyes.
And we also said sort of with this one that actually, yes, they're going to develop things they like, but also it's okay to develop things that they're not interested in and they don't like. It's about that independence and autonomy with reading. Okay, so wanted to include this slide and talk to you a little bit about communication and language, as to us that really is the foundation for reading. That comes before anything, and at the moment, before we send home reading books before half term, that is something we've been working really hard on. We've actually been reading purple books which are wordless. So they just have pictures in like this here, and there's so much that you can talk about just through the pictures. Like for example, this little boy, what do you think's happening? What do you think's happening there?
Lost his teddy.
Lost his teddy. Perhaps he's left it on the bus. How do you think he's feeling? What do you think they're going to do next? There's so many questions, and you know, linking it back to them. Have you ever lost a teddy? Those conversations are so rich, and they're a real chance to expose them to new vocabulary. And wanted to also include a picture of one of the pages from our baseline assessment. And in this activity, the girls had to describe the picture. Now, they did pretty well in terms of naming key vocabulary. You know, there's a tower, a rainbow, a princess, a unicorn. But what we found was there was quite a lack of confidence with just, you know, letting their imaginations run. And I only actually had one girl that she made up a complete story about the picture. She said to me, the princess's hair is melting and the unicorn's coming to save her. And it was just lovely to hear. And that's where we want to get the girls, really, is being confident, just making it up. There is no right or wrong. Actually, those conversations are so key, and that really sets them up for being confident with their comprehension, which we can, you know, talk about later.
And exploring their own language as well, you know, using books they love from home. Can they put stories from home? I know I had a couple of mine that would link it to Rapunzel, and they were really, you know, following Rapunzel's story. But that's why it's really key as well to repeat stories. Repeating stories is really great, as much as you think, oh, but they, you know, they're learning it, they know it, but that's really great for their language and their confidence to be able to use that language. Right, so reading, what do we do at school every day? So we have a phonics lesson every single day for half an hour, and that includes learning, on occasions learning new sounds, or we'll do a word time session, which is about bringing sounds together and blending them together, or it might be about reading or writing, but we're doing that every single day. We also, through our story times daily, we ask comprehensive questions about what books we're reading. So I mean, to be honest with you, a book can take me 10 minutes to read. You know, what might this story be about? Or I'll pick out a word and I'll be like, well, what does, I've just picked a random book up, but what does the word flitter out the house mean? What does that mean? What are they trying to say? So really getting deep. How does that person feeling? What might happen next? And there's so much you can do around just one book.
Sometimes before we even open the book, we talk so much about the front cover.
And we ask them, what do you think might happen, or what might that character be? What kind of character could they be? And then we also do one-to-one reading with them as much as we can. And at the moment, it's kind of 1 or 2 times a week with a different member of staff, and there's lots of questioning there. You know, what's going on in the story? But yeah, that's how we are doing our daily reading. Oh. Shall I do this one?
Yeah, that's
and then you do the next one. I like this one.
So,
because I like the picture. So CVC word. Does anyone know what that means? I mean, I have wrote it down. So it's basically a consonant vowel consonant word, and that's really where we're at. at the moment because we've only learned a couple of vowels and a few consonants. But can anyone tell me a CVC word off the top of their head? Cat.
Yes, well done.
Brilliant. Any more? Hat.
Dog, yeah.
Misnomer. Sit. Exactly that. So I've just put a few here. So yes, cat, tip, sap, dog, mop. There we go. Over to you.
Yeah, and I think, sorry, just back to
Okay, I can't go backwards.
That's okay, don't worry.
I'm so sorry.
Don't worry, but I was just going to mention about the pure sound.
Oh, yes.
And actually, in the video of the phonics lesson, you could see they were saying t, 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 and actually that's really going to confuse them when they come to writing. So when they are segmenting and sounding out those words, getting them to use the pure sound t rather than t.
And things like m.
It's
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just help them when they get.
And they're pretty good at it.
They are.
They'll come home and they'll say, no, it's this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we just wanted to mention red words as well. You've probably heard us speak quite a lot about red words, and they are something that we will begin to incorporate into our daily phonics lessons. And they are basically words that cannot be phonetically decoded. So with the sounds that we're teaching the children, those sounds, unfortunately, do not set them up to be able to segment a red word. Off the top of your heads, can anyone think of a word that cannot be segmented phonetically? The, well done. No, yeah, we don't sound it out as n, or, no, it's no. Okay.
Three.
What's that?
Three.
Yeah.
Through.
And yeah, exactly. They get much trickier as they go up to year 1, year 2. And there's so many red words. That's why it's tricky. Some other phonics schemes actually call it a tricky word.
Yeah.
So you've probably heard that as well.
And these are words that we learn by sight rather than phonetically. Yeah. So here's a few that we thought of here. Of, you, the, and they're really key. It's key vocabulary. You know. So these we're starting to teach these, and they'll look. We'll be teaching those weekly in a specific order, so the I and the the will come first, because when they are reading text there's a lot of the and I's, and they should be coming home and practicing those, but they're tricky, so we need to give them a little bit more time to get those.
Okay, so we've just included on the screen the early learning goals for reading. So this is where we are aiming for all of the children to be by the end of the year. There are copies of this online, and we say we might do a handout with that included as well. But yeah, just for you to have a little look at.
So there's basically early learning goals for every area of the EYFS. Right. So we have created a video today.
Another one.
Of basically how to read with your daughter. But we're going to ask you some questions at the end, so you've got to be listening.
Pay attention.
All right. Pay attention.
Okay. Lucy, can you tell me what you think this story is about?
I think it might be about a family going on a day out to a farm.
Have you ever been to a farm before?
No, never.
Oh, okay, interesting. What do you think the story might be called? Could you use your sounds and tell me what you think it might be? Remember to use your sound buttons.
Pat.
Pat.
It. In.
Okay, so the last sound there, you said an n sound. Let's do it again. It. It. Pat it. Okay, so let's have a look, shall we? Okay, so let's have a look at the pictures first. What do you think? What can you see in the pictures? Tell me what's happening.
I can see there's lots of animals, and I think these might be some sheep. This looks like a map.
And what is a map?
Maybe somewhere that tells you where you're going.
Excellent. So it's somewhere that tells you exactly where you're going, and you can use it to get around. Okay, should we have a go at reading the words on the page? Okay, so let's remember our sounds and we put them all together.
Pan.
Try again.
Pat.
Pat, well done. Pat. Excellent. Let's try this word here.
Pat.
Well done. Can you see any similarities in these two words here?
They're the same.
They're the same. Pat. Why would they be saying pat in this story? What do you think? What does pat mean?
are stroking the animals, they're patting the animals.
That's right. Okay, let's have a look at this page. Oh, what's happening in this page? What can you see happening?
There's some children having a tractor ride, and there's a sign for maybe some horse riding that's going on.
Excellent. And how do you think these people are feeling looking at their faces?
They look really happy, like they're having a good day out.
It does look like that, doesn't it? And what do you think this man might be saying? The man with the phone, what do you think he might be saying?
Smile, I'm going to take your photo.
I think you might be right. Right, let's have a go at reading what it says. Can you remember that sound? We go down the insect and dot his head. It's
It,
well done.
it, sit.
Well done. Excellent. Should we try this word?
It's got the same
That's
sound.
right, it's the same. What, can you remember what the word was?
It, sit.
Sit, sit.
Sit, sit.
Why do you think it might say the word sit on this page?
Because they're sitting in the tractor ride and sitting on the horse.
Brilliant. Okay. Oh, in the sandpit. What's happening here?
They're playing in the sand pit with the buckets and spades.
They look quite happy, don't they?
Yeah.
As they want to be there. Right, let's have a go at reading it.
If, tip,
Well done.
if, if.
Well done for remembering our finger space in the middle, because that's 2 words. So, tip, it.
Tip, it.
Excellent. Oh. Do they look the same again?
No.
They don't. Let's try this one. It's a different word now.
At, pat,
Well done.
it, it.
Pat it.
Pat it. The it is the same.
Well done. Okay, should we cut there?
We could have done the whole book, but we didn't. What did you notice?
Lots of questions.
Yes, lots of questions. Anything else?
You're very patient.
Yeah, patience is key. And I think that's really important because they're learning, Lucy's learning, okay?
And you weren't telling me the answers, you weren't telling me the words, you were really sort of prompting me.
Yeah.
And especially even the bit where I couldn't remember the sound and you used the read, write, ink formation.
Because sometimes that really triggers their mind. Like in the mornings
They're
with the
very
password,
visual.
they'll say Maisie, mountain, mountain. I'm like, okay, what sound is that? Sometimes they remember, rather than remembering the sounds, they actually remember the rhyme.
Yeah.
Rather than the sound, so remembering those rhymes will really help them, but do help them. If they're struggling and they're getting frustrated, don't leave them to get frustrated. Do prompt them, but it's all just about patience and just taking time. But also in terms of the questioning with Miss Baldwin, I really wanted her to reply to me in full sentences. So what's happening in this picture? Encourage them. In this picture, this is happening. How's this person feeling? I think this person is feeling, and really encourage and model those full sentences. But I think what's really key as well, but when we think about them being able to create another story, is looking at pictures. What do you think they might be saying? What's happening in this picture, and link it to the words that are happening. And it's key language. Pat. You think some children might know what pat is because it's such a basic, simple word, but actually some children don't. And it's really key to really secure that knowledge of language.
Yeah.
Is there anything I've probably forgotten?
I think I was just going to say, obviously, at this stage, that's a lot for them to sit down, and it takes a real lot of their, capacity in their brains to do that. So just taking your time with it. Don't spend ages doing it. You don't need to get through the whole book if it's taking a while. Those rich conversations, as we've seen, are so important. So, just doing a few pages at a time and making sure it's quality reading. And then obviously when the text does increase, even just doing a couple of pages a night, or you read a page, they read a page. And if they're tired, just go through a few sounds on the sound map. I think we say just trying to do reading as little but often is key.
Yeah. Because that would have been enough. Because actually that's really difficult for the girls. They've only learnt a few sounds, and as much as there was probably only 5 or 6 sounds there, that's really difficult. Yes.
I was going to ask actually, depending on obviously how we get on with phonics, will the girls be given those sort of Biff and Kipper books to tackle?
You'll be getting books next week for half term.
We're going to talk about that.
We wanted to learn a few more sounds before we sent books home. And also we want to be able to do it with them before they come home to you,
Yeah.
so they know what they're doing. So you haven't got to teach them kind of what's
And I
expected
think
of them.
this year more than ever, we're just like we said, everything with the communication and language. We're really just trying to hammer that in before we send books home. I think that's really key.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because it's often it's often what we find is the comprehension that's holding them back from moving up a level. So if we've got this as a foundation, then hopefully, you know, the reading will come.
Do we have somewhere what you're calling each sound? Because Quick Express is different from what Grace was learning, so the amazing and all
so
that.
we're thinking of so next week they're going to have a reading folder, and we're thinking of photocopying.
We'll send you one of these.
Great,
home,
perfect.
so you will have those rhymes.
They don't actually have the rhymes on them though, do they?
Oh,
they're in their books, aren't they? Of course.
And also we're going to be sending home a homework book, and these are brilliant, and you get an elastic band which goes up to the sound that that particular group have learned. And I mean, at the moment we're all on the same sounds, we're all at the same pace, and it's got the rhyme in there, it's got lines for them to practice, letters and sounds for them to trace, and it's got the pictures. So these are really brilliant.
So if you could do those at home, that would be amazing as well. And it teaches you guys the sounds as well. And then revert back to that, you know. And also I think the girls find it really funny when we get teachers coming in here and we get them to do the password. When teachers get it wrong, they think it is brilliant and they want to correct them. But actually they're then cementing their knowledge. And they're like, actually no, that's Maisie Mandy Mountain. You know, and Mr. Williams is like, oh yeah, you know. But they love it though. And you know, make mistakes with them as well, and I think that's key as well in terms of reading. Make mistakes yourselves, show them it's okay to get it wrong. I mean, we do it constantly, we're constantly making mistakes, whether it be on purpose or whether it actually be a mistake.
As part of the phonics scheme, when we do move on to writing, we do when we're writing CVC words, we do something called a tick and fix. And actually, I mean, today I had a little girl who got really upset when she fixed it, but actually the phonics is our time to practice and we're all learning, and it's completely okay to make those mistakes.
But if you could model that when you're reading as well, you know, and even if, you know, if you do a page and they do a page and you know, slip in a cheeky you know, and they're like, no, that's not an you know, it's just a really fun way.
As well,
they love it, they think it's hilarious. Okay. Oh no, not again. We won't put you through that again.
I'm just going to pick up my eldest one actually.
Yes, go for it.
Okay, so next week, as we said, we are going to be sending reading books home. And you might be wondering, how do we know which level your daughter should be on? So at the moment, the majority of them will be starting on Pink 1, bar a couple of children. And we use something called a benchmarking assessment. And that tells us about their fluency and their accuracy, so the amount of words that they're reading and the sort of time they're reading it at. And it also has lots and lots of questions for comprehension. So we sort of measure it against their accuracy, fluency and their comprehension. And it's such a great tool, which really tells us what level they should be on. And so we've split our reading books into different numbers. So obviously they all start on pink pretty much. And within pink, there's a pink 1 and a pink 2. Within red, there's a 3, 4 and 5. And that's because within each colour, there's such a range. Like we've often had parents, haven't we, saying, you know, my child's been on this colour for a long time. And as I said before, it's quite often it's the comprehension that's sort of holding them back and might be why we haven't moved them up. And that's why the benchmarking tool is such a great assessment method and feedback to parents who are wondering why maybe their child hasn't moved up. But yeah, so based on the assessment, everybody should be on the right reading level.
And they all get assessed together. Every half term will be
pretty
after.
much, yeah. And so on the back of the books, I've actually got some on the table over there, and some of them have got sort of different book bands, like this one says band 1A. We've used a number and we've just wrote it on there from our judgment of where we think that book is. So don't read those bits, look at our numbers. And this year we really want to promote that reading for pleasure. So the girls are going to choose their own books. We will say to them, you're on Pink 1 or you're on Red 3, and they're going to go and choose their own books. So the books they bring home will be what they've chosen.
You might get the same book. You never know if they really like it. I was actually just about to say, within the different levels within the colours, it's because there are different sounds. So basically what happens when you put two sounds together, it's called special friends, and it changes the whole sound of the sound. Okay, so for example, when we put an a and a yes together, we don't say yeah, it turns to a. And that's really confusing in a text because they have to be able to see the a and the yeah together as one sound and then say a. So basically what happens as you go further up is there's trickier special friends, and it's trickier to see them because it looks like an and an a rather than an e.
And
so
the amount
it's
of red
really
words
tricky.
Increase through the
Yeah,
books as well.
yeah.
If we find they're struggling a little bit with those red words, that might be why they are on that level still.
Yeah. The English language is incredibly hard.
Do ask us if you are feeling like they've been on that level for a little while. Do ask us. Just ask us the question, and we will have that assessment, and we're happy to share it with you and give you the feedback on maybe what their next step needs to be.
Yeah, definitely, and it helps us as well know what their next step is as well. Okay, writing. So we have been really working on their fine motor skills, so lots of do-discos, using tools such as tweezers and scoops, crafts, getting dressed. A lot of them now can do their buttons themselves. It's amazing. Lots of scissor skills, and then PE, they've been doing lots of large movements. So we really are working towards their writing, because this is all part of writing.
Okay, so we've just put on here a few aims for the autumn term. So as Miss Fox said, fine motor really is one of those key ones before they can even begin to develop using a tripod grip. I know in the curriculum evening we spoke lots about using the whole-handed grip, and actually this cohort are pretty good, aren't they? Most of them are using the tripod grip to hold their pencils. As we are moving forward through our phonics lessons, we want to really try and encourage the girls to begin using the read-writing letter formations. At the moment, we've got girls maybe doing an O with a line as an A. And we want those full movements, or without taking your pen off the page. We want them to be writing in lowercase. It's very normal for children to come from nursery and write in capital letters. I think sometimes those shapes are just easier. They take their pen off the page for capital letters.
A lot more lines as well, aren't
there?
The
lowercase letters are trickier, but that's what we're really working on at the moment. And actually they've really improved. You'll see in a moment we've got some photos just in 1 week of how much they've improved. We've got a lot of capital letters popping up in the middle of a name or at the end of their names at the moment. So we're really trying to focus on using a capital letter just at the beginning of their names. And we're working on getting them to hear those initial sounds as well as those middle sounds and end sounds, but really want them to be confident using initial sounds. So that's the beginning of a word, the beginning of a sound of a word. Building CVC words is really key for us at the moment, and later on we'll show you a video, but we use something called Fred fingers to be able to segment the sounds in the words, and that really helps with being able to hear which sound is placed in which point in the word. And also just focusing on getting them familiar with reading those red words by sight and also trying and attempting to write them.
That's really
that
tricky.
is hard.
Yeah, because it makes no sense at all.
Mm-hmm.
So spelling phonetically. So what you'll notice when your daughters are coming home now, they probably will start writing. There'll be letters to everybody on the street. And we just really want to say, don't correct them just yet. They're really trying to explore their new sounds and their new ability to write. And right now, we just want to build their confidence. We want them to, feel like they're masters at their ums and their as and their us. So you may notice a few of these. But so they'll do the with a capital I, and then the t for might. Tree. There's a lot of trees. With. A lot of withs, and things like candy. They won't learn the y for a long time off. But we will accept all of this, because we can read it, you know, and actually it's all about
what we've taught them.
Exactly.
Eventually we'll teach them the special friends E, and they will begin to use it, and we're not going to correct them because we want them to be confident with what they're doing.
Exactly. And if they don't hear all of the sounds, that's okay. Promote them to try and hear, oh, did you hear another sound there? But if they didn't, no worries. Try and get as many sounds in, because you'll realise they do pick up the sounds really, really quickly. But the most important thing is just building confidence at the moment. Oh, here we go, another video for you, lucky things. So this is all about Fred fingers. This is our way of segmenting and blending, but a really great way for them when they're writing. And this would be great for you to encourage this at home, because it really encourages them to hear all the sounds.
So remember, Fred only talks in sounds. So when Fred comes out, he'll ask you to get your Fred fingers out. So at the moment we're really on 2 or 3 sounds. We'll say we have to show 3 Fred fingers. So when the 3 Fred fingers come out, each finger represents a sound. So for example, if we're trying to say the word sit, it would be sit, and then we blend them together. So Fred and Fred's fingers are all about segmenting the sounds and then blending them together again.
I just thought, you're probably wondering who Fred is, but Fred is basically the mascot of Read Write Ink, and it just makes the learning fun for the girls, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And
it's
quite
quite
on
catchy.
the timetable. It's the frog.
Yeah, Fred.
Yeah.
And he only speaks in sounds.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he
fun,
comes out at the end of every lesson. So for example, when Miss Baldwin taught the t sound, at the end they all come together and Fred comes out, and he'll segment 3 words or 4 or 5. 4 words with 3 sounds in, and they have to try and tell Fred what the word is. So it'll be like t, it. So we have to really, really accentuate our t, it, and they have to try and work out what the sound is.
And
what
then
the word
eventually
is.
we sort of progress it. So eventually we'll start using the green word,
Which we've started. I think we've all started using
taught,
now.
And then we'll progress it towards Fred in your head. So it's all very catchy, and then them trying to develop their fluency and segment it in their head, so that they're not constantly in that video where I was reading with Miss Fox. I'm constantly sounding every word out. Eventually, we'll get them to a stage where they're doing it in their heads.
Fred in their head. So then they'll go, and then they'll say that out loud. Yeah. So remember. Oh no, we don't hear that. Oh, okay. Oh no,
That's okay. We can.
Are you sure?
Yeah, no, we can just.
We can.
That's fine. So
That's okay.
On the previous page, which we'll show you when we stop this PowerPoint, we'll show you. But for those listening at home, there were 2 pieces of work from girls' books at the end of the year, and we just thought they were good pieces of evidence to include in the presentation, to see sort of where we'd like the girls to get by the end of the year. And actually, you'll be so surprised, they really do.
I think I can go back. Hang on, I'm going to carry on.
So, sorry, as I was saying, so I've lost my train.
I'm so sorry. It was at the end of the year.
Yeah, so these were, it looks like a lot of writing, but you will be surprised. That is where the girls do, you know, get to at the end of the year. And we really do sort of move with the pace of the children, but based on what we're teaching them in phonics, they end up wanting to write, don't they? And they're using all of their phonics and their knowledge of red words, and they're writing full sentences. And we want to get them to a point where they're writing sentences where they're understanding that there needs to be finger spaces, so the sentences are broken up by words. There's a capital letter at the beginning and a full stop at the end. And yeah, we'll go through it again together.
And we can discuss the writing later as well. So this is actually one of the girls in my phonics group, and I just wanted to show you, this is a week's difference in their handwriting. So this was the handwriting on the first day. As you can see, a little bit all over the place, you know, there is control there, but actually if we look down here, this was yesterday, sorry, and we're already forming the letters in the read writing.
It tends to get smaller as well as
I
their control does increase, and that's just amazing, really.
Yeah,
that,
in 1
you know,
week.
we've gone from that to that.
Just over
So
1
the
week.
progress in reception, it
Yeah.
really is quick.
That's why we love reception.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Selfish. Okay, and these are the early learning goals for writing. But yeah, like we said, we'll get you a copy of all of those. And I think, oh no, we've got a few more to go, haven't we? Any questions?
That's pretty much it, yeah.
I'm gonna. Should I pause it or should we carry on recording?
Well, it might be useful for some people to hear the
Great
questions.
idea. Any questions?
That
There was a lot of information, wasn't there? But this will go home to you. I'm going to pause the
Yeah,
video.
okay.
Because